again everyone and welcome to this week's video, and it is a very special video as today is going to be the first of hopefully many live game hunting episodes. So you know what it's all about. We're going to be heading into charity shops, pawn shops, CX, anywhere we can pick up video games. We're going to be trying to search for those hidden gems, priceless gold hidden on those shelves, and I'm going to be taking you with me through the camera. The first place we're going to be heading to today is going to be good old CX. As you can see, I've built up quite a decent amount of trading. But how much do you reckon we can get for trading on all these games and Blu-rays? There's only one way to find out. Let's head to CX. One more thing, just before we head off to CX, please remember to subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the videos. I put new videos out every single Saturday. We're out game hunting, we're doing game room setup, and we're doing general video game chit chat every Saturday, and you don't want to miss it. So hit a thumbs up, subscribe, and let's head to CX. If you're new to the channel or may just not realise, I have an absolutely humongous Xbox 360 collection, nearly 400 games. So I've made this little list of games I'm specifically looking for today in CX. Sometimes it's good to go in with a little bit of a game plan, as you can be a bit overwhelmed when faced with a massive wall of games. So, quick comment before we jump into the video below, how many of these games do you think I can find in CX today? As they're all very cheap, pretty common games, would be good to add to the collection. Here we are then at CX, and the first thing I like to do is a little bit of window shopping, but it is not looking good at the moment. There's a few bits, but normally this window is absolutely rammed with stuff. This was a pretty cool collector's edition, but yeah, there's nothing really jumping out except for that Pokemon Switch Lite. That is very nice. And yeah, just a couple of consoles. It always is a bit worrying when you're kind of looking in the window and not seeing anything decent. This is the kind of place you can put the cool stuff to draw people into the store. Quick question, let me know in the comments below. Is everyone else's CX full of Macs and electric scooters at the moment? Let me know in the comments down below. So I have traded in the games into CX and have £60 worth of credit to play with. This was very tempting, but a little bit highly priced for my liking. I've been on a real PlayStation VR kind of jump at the moment, so it's always cool to see some cheap games. I was pretty tempted to pick this one up, but I don't actually have the aim controller, which is a bit of a disappointment. But we were into the Xbox 360 section and straight in with the first of the games off our list, Dead Rising 2 off the record bargain at £2. But we didn't stop there, we were straight on to the next one, Darksiders, for just £1. The only problem was finding a decent condition copy of the game. All of these boxes seemed a little bit roached, but you know, for £1 it's not really too bad, but you know, it's easier to pick up a game which has a decent case rather than have to bring it home and replace the case, so I picked the best of the games I could find. Carrying on that 360 vibe, we have the Fallout Expansion Pass. I think the reason I never have picked this one up is because I always pick up the wrong one or cannot remember which one I do have. Keeping on the Xbox 360 front, we have a cheap Kinect game. I do enjoy a good Kinect game, and they're always fun to pick up as they are super cheap. This was a game I haven't thought about in absolutely years. I'm a massive fan of strategy games, massive fan of Warhammer, so definitely this one was a bit of a no-brainer. Only a couple of quid, really looking forward to jumping back into this one on the 360. Then we found one of the last games on our list, Test Drive Unlimited 2. I put absolute hours into the Test Drive Unlimited 1, so really looking forward to jumping to this one soon. Back to the PS4 and another VR game I haven't yet picked up, but again I kind of pass it in a minute. I think it's one of those games I might be able to get a bit cheaper, and I was really saving my money for the glass cabinet because that is where they keep all the best stuff. There was a little bit of everything here. We have boxed N64 games, we have Mega Drive games, we had some really nice PlayStation 1 games. These were all black label and all in super minty condition, so more about those later. So guys, let me know in the comments below which of those PS1 games would you have picked up. Loads and loads of loose N64 games. That copy of Tetris was so expensive over the NES, I could not believe that. At £150 for Pokemon Red, that is just crazy. Well, that, everyone, is how you do a CX. I actually cannot believe the stuff they had in there today. That was like some severely good finds. Seriously, taking that trading credit. I managed to get most of the games we were looking for on that Xbox 360 list, but people, it was those PS1 games. We are talking some absolutely classic black label games, and some of those were priced so cheap. But we're going to have a better look at them when we get back to the games room. On with the hunt. Here we go then, the very first charity shop hunting trip of 2022, and we are straight away absolutely slammed with a massive wall of DVDs. I don't think I've ever seen this many DVDs. There was a few little cool ones, always after decent Star Wars ones, but yeah, it was just an absolute wall. No games except this one, which was just an empty case. I don't even know what that about. But it was kind of cool to see some like loose VHS tapes. You don't really see them very often, so it's quite cool to see them in the wild. So I was on my way to game, but just stopped into Mankind. These statues were really cool. Don't know about the pricing, but yeah, definitely would look really nice on anyone's gaming shelf. But also, another little thing, let me know, is everyone else's game store in a really weird location now? Mine is in the middle of H&M or some big department store. It's like trying to find a needle in a haystack, even just finding your game store, and it's absolutely tiny. I think it took me months to actually work out where the store was after moving from a much more convenient location. These vintage Star Wars toys were really cool, but seriously, look away if you're a collector. These things were so bent. Like, if you are the kind of person who collects mint in box, these are tragic. They're kind of dodgy. They can even sell them in this kind of condition. I was pretty taken back. But I did have some pretty good deals on games. It was 3 for 2 on a really large selection of games. But I just feel like game is kind of outpricing itself at the moment. It just doesn't seem to be competitive with like places like Amazon or even CX. But yeah, there was some really decent games, especially Sunset Overdrive for 99p. Seriously, that game is worth 99p of anyone's money. If you have not played it, I recommend you go out and do it straight away. It is on Games Pass. If not, 99p for a physical copy of the game is really good. But other than this kind of road rash game, there wasn't that much that was interesting me, even if it was 3 for 2. Here we go then, back to the charity shops. This was one I've picked up quite a lot of games from before, but today did not seem to be the best day for games, but it was definitely a very good day if you are after some DVDs. I think you are going to find a lot of DVDs and even Blu-rays in charity shops for the next few years as people kind of stray away from collecting their physical media as more and more stuff goes onto streaming sites. But there was some cool stuff hidden at the back of this store. I have no idea what this thing actually was. It was this kind of cool Transformers Bumblebee. So it was a helmet or like an interactive game. They did have a couple of games in there and also a Mad Magazine board game, which is really weird to see in the UK. On to the next charity shop and yet more DVDs. It's like, I'm not a DVD guy. I don't really know which ones are worth buying to flip. And I don't really buy DVDs at all anymore, definitely moving more onto streaming. If you've been a viewer of the channel for a while, you'll know I wear a lot of gaming t-shirts when I'm doing my videos, and the main place I pick them up, sad to tell you, is actually Primark, because you can pick up gaming t-shirts super cheap. These were like £3 for like a basic PlayStation t-shirt. You can't really go wrong. I do wish they had that Jurassic World one in my size though, so that's really annoying. But while I was in Primark, I did pick up this amazing hoodie for my wife. She is a massive Simpsons fan. They also had these really cool Nickelodeon ones, but I kind of prefer a zip-up hoodie. She's more of a pullover kind of girl, so I picked this up for her. So definitely get myself some brownie points with that one. This next shop was a bit of a weird one. It was a shop that said it sold electronics, so I thought, well, they might have consoles. They did have a very nice drum kit if you want to make a lot of noise or start a band. But yeah, definitely no consoles hiding. We were talking fridge freezers, fridges, and some really ratty looking gym equipment. There was a charity shop just next door, so I was straight in there, straight to the section which was once again absolutely full of DVDs. Nothing really stood out here, but I did very nearly miss a couple of games on the lower shelf. Sadly, these were the kind of Nintendo DS shovelware games, but we finally found the first games of the year in a charity shop, so at least we're on the right path. So it seemed like we had broken the ice and we are starting to find some more video games. Once again, nothing too much of note here. We've got the classic FIFAs, the classic Wii Fit. There was quite a cool Xbox game here, The Suffering. I do already own this, but that's a really cool one to see out in the wild. So yeah, these were also not the best prices I've ever seen. I think they were like a couple of pounds each, which, you know, for some of these, especially like FIFA games and once again more Nintendo DS games, you kind of want to pay a little bit less on those titles. First thing that caught my eyes, I came into this next charity shop, was these Punisher comics in the window. If you didn't know, Punisher is probably my favourite of the superheroes. I do even have a Punisher tattoo. Sadly, these were kind of newer comics, so I was kind of looking for some of the more retro ones. But yeah, you could definitely tell by the Miss Marvel advertisement on the back, these were more recent. And at £2, I'm not the biggest collector of comic books, so I decided to pass on these just for today. This next charity shop is a bit of a strange one, as it actually markets itself as a vintage and retro store. So the main reason I can kind of see this is because they really charge a premium on the stuff they have in the store. Don't get me wrong, they do have some really cool retro bits, but it is at a premium. First thing that caught my eye was, absolute shout out to this, the Tazzo collector pack. How many of you guys used to collect these from your packets of crisps back in the late 90s, I want to say? This was really cool to pick up, but you know, it was expensive. As I said, this store is pretty expensive. Once again, there was more comics. This Suicide Squad one did look very cool, but I'm not the biggest guy into comics. I don't really know the value of most of them. There was a couple of games, but once again, the pricing on these was at a premium. You're just picking this one up. I don't know what that label even meant on the back of that one. But these games were a little bit overpriced, especially some of the Black Label. Cool to see, but very overpriced. Like, that much for a basic Shrek game is, I think it's just, they're kind of pushing their luck a little bit, but it is kind of, I kind of get it, but FIFA for a £5, it's not really. Next charity store we went to was mainly a bookshop that had a really good DVD and Blu-ray selection. There was some really good titles in here. It's kind of cool to see some HD DVDs. I kind of did go through a little bit of a session of buying HD DVDs. No idea why. It's cool to see some HD Blu-rays as well. Also, this was a bit of a random one. A Disney Infinity Guide. Seriously, Disney will literally monetize anything. That was kind of cool, but I don't really know why you need a guide. Once again, we had loads and loads of comics. This Star Wars one, the cover on that was super cool. I really liked that one. As I said, though, don't know too much about comics. Some really cool ones in here. One which really stood out is coming up in a minute. There was a Brothers in Arms comic, which I've never seen before. Don't know if that's like based literally there. It is directly on the video game or what, but that was kind of cool. You know, like a video game comic crossover is always cool to see. But yeah, absolutely piles of comics in this store, but yeah, just not very knowledgeable on the collecting. Okay, so we are now a couple of hours into the hunt, and one of the last shops on my kind of route today. I'm heading to, I think it's a Cash Converters, world's loudest fan. So we're heading to Cash Converters. They have a pawn shop down here, but they also post on Facebook Marketplace, and it looks like they've got some really good Black Label PS1 games in. So let's see if we can carry on the PS1 Black Label day even more. So we are on the hunt for Black Label PS1 games again, but first thing in the window that catches my eye is this absolutely amazing Cyberpunk Collector's Edition for the PS4. I've seen this a few times in this store, but I have passed it up as it is not complete, and I want to get it a little bit cheaper. So they had some really cool stuff in their glass display cabinets. There's some really decent prices on some of the OG PlayStation 3 consoles. I just wasn't sure if this was the one that's backwards compatible with the PS1 and PS2. If not, I would have probably picked it up. They had a few more like kind of higher value games. I can't believe Wii Sports is in like a glass cabinet. Seriously, like also the PS Vita Minecraft, some nice N64 games. Those Mega Drive games, they were rough. They were really not the best example. But I was mainly looking at this Pokemon 2DS. That thing is really nice, but not 180 quid's worth of nice, and some more loose Pokemon for 50 quid. So I managed to find all of the PS1 games. They were mainly Black Label, but the pricing on these, like 15 quid for Harry Potter. It just seemed like they just kind of blanketed them all at like 15 quid. Are you going to pay £15 for Harry Potter or £15 for Spyro? Like, who is going to pick Harry Potter over Spyro? That is an absolutely iconic PS1 game. I think somebody else had beat me to these, though, and definitely picked out all of the best titles. It was mainly like your kind of mid-tier games that were left. A few other games like this Minecraft, you could have flipped and made £1 in CX as well. I was kind of tempted by this Simpsons Hit and Run. It is one of those games I still have never picked up for the OG Xbox. Back to the charity shops, and we have the wall of DVDs, but this t-shirt, absolutely incredible.
Shut up, Meg.
As I was going around this shop, I did very nearly miss this Wii knockoff TV games console. Look how much fun that family is having. It's one of those things, it's kind of, do you pick it up because it would be quite amusing, but, you know, I do have quite a small games room. Space is at a premium, so, you know, I do kind of have to sometimes think what I add into the collection. So I did pass on this one. Okay, so as you know, we are doing the 2022 gaming challenge where I'm looking to pick up quite a few games that I've been missing in my collection so far. So I have done pretty poorly. It's coming up to the end of January, but I'm now heading to one of the best retro gaming shops in Norwich, so I'm sure I should be able to add one of the games to the list in there. So ladies and gentlemen, this is Last Level Games in the heart of Norwich on St Benedict Street. So they had an absolutely amazing collection of black label PS1 games. These cases were absolutely stuffed with amazing games. So I knew I was going to be able to get something off my list for 2022 in store today. Just casually hiding there is a boxed copy of Conker's Bad Fur Day, as you do. Loads of decent Master System games. I was very tempted by that copy of Sonic, but yeah, that boxed Conker's Bad Fur Day is mad. Also, why? I do not know why there was so many copies of this Crash Bash game for Game Boy Advance. They had some really good cheap SNES games. You just don't have those two words together, cheap and SNES. Mainly sports games, but cool to see nonetheless. Let's get down to it then. In 2022, we are looking for PS1 games. And the first one that jumps out to me is Metal Gear Solid. Sadly, it did not have the instruction manual or the demo disc, which I did find out is a demo of Silent Hill. So I had to pass on that one. So then I thought I'll have a look at Dino Crisis 2. Definitely been after that one. But again, it was not complete, which was a shame. But I did manage to come away with one game off the list. Okay, so I've just been into Last Level Games, one of the best kind of retro gaming shops here in the city, and I've actually managed to pick up one of the games of the 2022, which has been not very good so far. It did take 3 attempts to find one of the games, 2 of which were not complete, which was a shame, but let's go back to the games. I'm going to show you which one I did pick up, and it really is a doozy. First things first, so before heading back to the games room, there's always time for a chippy dinner. Even though I was being attacked by seagulls and pigeons, the sun was out, it had stopped raining, and it was a beautiful day in Norwich. It was just good to be back out hunting for gaming for the first time of many of 2022. Just wow, guys, how amazing was that? Our first gaming hunt of 2022. There was one last little pickup I did on the way home. It was a Facebook Marketplace pickup, so I didn't want to kind of film outside a person's house. I thought it might be a bit weird. So one of the things I'm really into, well, I'm always into Star Wars, but I'm really into the book of Boba Fett at the minute, and I managed to pick up some awesome little Boba Fett in this little box. Yes. So to begin with, we have this incredible Empire Strikes Back Star Wars retro Boba Fett figure. So I don't want to go too far down like the line of like collecting Star Wars figures, but this one is really cool, and it's part of 3 items I got from the same seller. Secondary is this Boba Fett room defender. So essentially this is like a motion detector which sets off when somebody comes in your game room, which would be really useful for when the wife sneaks in here to watch Netflix late at night. Once again, I need to put batteries in that. And finally, how cool is this? This is not a helmet, this is actually a nightlight which lights up. Again, it needs some batteries, but keep an eye on my Instagram where I'll put some pictures of these items up, fully working. How do we do then on the first game hunt of 2022? Well, to be frankly honest, the charity shops were an absolute bust, but that is the nature of the beast. You are not going to get amazing pickups every time, but then again, CEX did not let us down this time. So if you remember, we went into a list of a few specific Xbox 360 games we were going to pick up, and we managed to get 4 of them. So I managed to pick up Darksiders for the Xbox 360 for just £1, as well as Dead Rising Off the Record for £2, which a lot of you all have told me is actually the best Dead Rising game. So let me know in the comments below if you believe that to be true. Bit of a weird one, I managed to pick up the Fallout game add-on pack that I do not have. As you know, I'm a massive fan of Fallout, so I had to pick this up just to get every kind of physical disc version of Fallout imaginable. And lastly, I did manage to pick up Test Drive Unlimited 2, which, if you guys have not played this before, this was essentially Forza Horizon before Forza Horizon was a twinkle in its father's eyes. Definitely one that's well worth checking out. Paved the way for a lot of games today. But that's not all for Xbox 360 from CX. Managed to pick up a few other games for pretty cheap to add into the collection, which is nearly at the 400 game mark now, which is absolutely insane. First of which is Warhammer Battle March. This is a really good strategy game, the kind of game you do not see very often on the Xbox 360. I remember a friend playing this back in the day and borrowing it. It's a solid game. Also, as well, I did pick up this UFC trainer because my career, I like to know about training. Also, big fan of UFC, also £1, also Connect, always good for a laugh, even if it is a drunken UFC fight. On to the big pickups of the video, and we severely scored in CX this time. Somebody must have taken in half of their PlayStation 1 collection. There were some incredible games. I wish I could have taken them all, but I think I've cherry-picked my favourite ones. The first of which is this black label complete version of Fear Effect for the PS1. This thing is in absolutely amazing condition. I know I need to take off the CX stickers, but this one is absolutely beautiful. If you have not played this is a fantastic game. Definitely a bit more adult oriented, if you know what I mean, but definitely one is worth checking out on the PS1. Second of 3 PlayStation 1 games we picked up today is Heart of Darkness. This was a really good price for this game. It's supposed to be a kid's game, but this game is surprisingly dark and a little bit disturbing. But this thing is in such incredibly good condition for a game that's nearly 20 so years old. It has both discs, it even has the manual, but even more incredible than that, it has the 3D glasses that came with the game. Whoever owned these games before me absolutely looked out for them so well, and I'm so thankful to add this into my collection. Lastly, we are on to probably the biggest hitters of the PlayStation 1, and one of the biggest hitting PlayStation 1 games I've added into my collection. I actually only asked about the price of this game out of interest. I thought it was going to be well out of the realms of how much I wanted to spend, but this copy of Nightmare Creatures was only £28. It's not quite as minty as the other 2 games, but it is an absolute amazing title to pick up. Very, very rarely see this one out in the wild. It does have the instruction book. As you can see, it does have a slight tear in there, but I feel like I got an absolute bargain with this one. £28 for an absolutely iconic PS1 game you do not see very often. Really, really pleased with this visit CX. If you've been a viewer of the channel for a while, you know all about the 20 in 2022 challenge, the 20 top hitting games I want on my want list. But we have not done too well so far. It's the end of January and it's taken till today to pick up the first game off that list, but it is a really good one in Eternal Darkness. So shout out to Last Level Games for having an absolutely beautiful copy of this in stock. As you know as well, we're always looking to beat the CX price, managed to get this £3 under that price we were looking to pay. Can't wait to jump into this one, but it is not just going straight on the shelf. I'm going to be putting out like a kind of video review of all the games I pick up for the 20 in 2022 Games Challenge, so keep an eye on the channel for those. There it is then, that is a wrap for our first game hunting video of 2022. Please remember to like this video if you've enjoyed it and subscribe, because every Saturday I'm putting out new videos and I'm hoping to get back out into the world once or twice a month, getting my hands dirty looking for those hidden gems in the charity shops, pawn shops and even CX. So thanks for watching, hope you've enjoyed the video and keep playing the game. See y'all soon.